Stevens Point area, League of Women Voters, Candidates Forum, recorded March 30th, 2016.
Good evening. Welcome to this forum for the District 6 Circuit Court Judge candidates. My name is Meg Erler, a member of the League of Women Voters for many years, and it's a wonderful organization, and I will be the moderator for this forum. The Wisconsin Circuit Courts are the state's trial courts. Currently, there are 249 Circuit Court judges in Wisconsin. The Circuit Courts are divided into branches with at least one branch in every county. In Portage County, there are 3 Circuit Court judges. Circuit courts have original jurisdiction in all civil and criminal matters within the state, including probate, juvenile, and traffic matters, as well as civil and criminal jury trials. The circuit courts were created on April 5th, 1977, when Wisconsin voters approved a variety of proposed amendments to Article 7 of the Wisconsin Constitution, which pertains to the judicial branch of government. These amendments permitted a reorganization of the Wisconsin courts. Prior to court reorganization, there were two levels of trial courts in Wisconsin, the county courts and the circuit courts. Although the workload split varied from county to county, in general, the judges in the county courts handled probate, juvenile, and traffic matters, and the judges in the circuit courts handled civil and criminal jury trials. The reorganization created a single-level, unified trial court, the circuit court, that handles all types of cases, and as do the judges who sit in those courtrooms. Now to the forum for the election of the judge position this spring. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to make an opening statement, and then 1.5 minutes to respond to questions. I will repeat the question if requested. And we will just, since we just have 2 candidates, it'll be easy. We'll start with one and then we'll start with the other. We'll have whoever does the opening statement first. The other will do the closing statement first. The first questions will be from the league, and then audience questions may follow if there's time. If a member of the audience would like to submit a question, please ask an usher for an index card and pencil on which to write questions. And the ushers are around us, so just raise your hand and they'll bring it over to you. The league will screen questions for relevance for our general audience and to avoid duplication. I do want to refer to the Code of Judicial Ethics as you contemplate proposing a question. The Code of Judicial Ethics prohibits a judge from commenting on issues involved in any pending litigation before the court. The judge is also prohibited from making any pledge or promise that the judge will act in any matter currently pending or as may arise in the future in any particular way, or to promise to decide future issues in conformity with the pledge made publicly by a judge. For this forum, the league includes both candidates under this code. Candidates for the District 6 Circuit Court Judge are Trish Baker and Robert Shannon. Both candidates have accepted our invitation to participate in this forum. So we will begin the opening statements, and we'll start with Trish Baker with the B.
So I'm laughing because in every case they always start, it's either because it's a B or they start because I'm female. So that's why I'm chuckling up here. This is our sixth time we've gotten together to answer questions. I also want to say, don't start my timer yet. I have a disclosure to make. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters, and I also sit on the Voter Services Committee, which is the committee that organizes the questions and works to organize these. I had, while I did help on some of the aspects of the other forums and the other questions, I had nothing whatsoever to do with this forum and these questions. I will be as surprised at the questions as Bob will be, as Judge Shannon will be. So first of all, now start the timer, please. I'm sorry. I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to everyone for coming tonight, and I want to say thank you to the League for putting this on. Circuit Court Judge is such an important position in our county. Circuit Court judges sit over such important cases. Filing for divorce, if anyone has ever been through one, you know how important that is. children placed in foster care being charged with a felony with the potential of going to prison. If you're a business owner, you know that a circuit court judge can make a huge difference in the outcome of your business and any litigation you may have. I truly understand the enormity of being a circuit court judge and what that entails. I've been working in the courts for 20 years. I went to law school as a second career to make a difference because I really wanted to do something significant with my life and make a contribution or make a legacy for my community. I've worked on literally thousands of cases. As an assistant DA, I've been a prosecutor for 10 years. I was an assistant DA for 10 years, and I've represented hundreds of people in a variety of kinds of cases: criminal defense, protective placements, juvenile cases, family cases, divorces, and so forth. And I have represented hundreds of children in guardian ad litem cases, representing children in court. Lastly, I have been the clerk of court, an elected official, for the past 4+ years. And what that position as chief administrator for the courts has done is given me unique insight into ways to improve our courts fiscally as well as procedurally. There are many ways that we can be more innovative and progressive in our courts, doing a better job of making our courts accessible and being more fiscally accountable with the taxpayer dollars. So with that, thank you. Thank you for coming this evening. Go ahead.
Thank you. I made some notes, so I always like it when lawyers make notes. It keeps them on track. I think it's important to know the differences between the candidates, and there are 4 major differences between Ms. Baker and I. I have 27 years of continuous practice as a litigation attorney in this county. I have practiced in many of the state's trial courts, the appellate courts, and the federal district court. That results in repeated and continuous exposure to a very wide range of federal and state law. I use that accumulated experience over all those years every day on the bench as your judge. In contrast, as Trish said, she has been our clerk of court. She has not practiced law in more than 4 years during that period of time, obviously. I have been ranked by the best lawyers and judges in the state by Martindale-Hubbell, and I have achieved the distinguished rating for high professional competence. I'm proud to have been able to maintain that rating for many years. It is vital, absolutely vital, that your judge know the law as well as or better than the lawyers who appear before them. My rating proves that I do. In contrast, Ms. Baker does not have a Martindale rating. She, during either her public practice or during that part of her private practice following her public practice. The Judicial Selection Committee involved in the appointment process includes some of the most accomplished attorneys in the state of Wisconsin. That committee compared my legal experience and expertise with Ms. Baker's and chose me as most qualified to succeed Judge Finn. I'm very proud of that, despite all of the personal partisan criticism which has been directed at me. But even more importantly, I am proud that John has publicly endorsed me in this race.
Okay, we will move on to our questions. And again, the first questions are those that the league has provided. And we will start with Judge Shadid. Judge Shadid, how have you used your legal experience to help your community?
Well, I think a lawyer who practices in his hometown does that, not only professionally but publicly as well. I have, in addition to having practiced here for 27 years, been involved in many civic activities and charitable institutions. I have sat on the boards of many charitable organizations. I have, for many years, served on the board of directors of CAP Services, and was just amazed to watch those dedicated people create tremendous programs to assist the less fortunate in our communities. So I think it is important. It's important for everyone here to contribute in some way, in any way, that they can to make their communities a better place to live, and I have done so.
Thank you. Ms. Baker?
Well, it's a pretty long list. For starters, I also have sat on a number of nonprofit boards. I sit on the Mid-State Independent Living Consultants Board. I sit on school board. I'm actually going to be vice president of the Community Foundation Board, and a couple of other boards as well. And in almost every case, I have started out my tenure on those boards by telling people I'm not there as a legal consultant. However, certainly that does give you, and it forms how you interact and what you look at and how you respond to questions and how you respond to issues on the board. So, for example, school board, we're dealing with the statutes all the time, continuously. And certainly school board, I got to tell you, that's a pretty big commitment to our community. But in addition to that, I have taken many legal aid cases where I've represented people in family court cases for free. You do that for the Legal Aid Society, as well as taken many, many, many public defender cases. Most attorneys that practice in our courthouse consider the work that they do for the Public Defender's Office to be a gift, if you will, pro bono work. Many law firms consider public defender work to be pro bono work that you do for the benefit of your community. Additionally, I sit on the board for the Village of Park Ridge. I'm an elected trustee, and I have done quite a bit of legal work for the village. Again, all pro bono, just in an effort to assist the Village of Park Ridge to accomplish things legally, so that we do not have to hire attorneys to search warrants and so forth, different types of pleadings and research.
Thank you. We'll move on to question number 2, and we will start with candidate Baker. Why are so many criminal cases settled with plea agreements? And a follow-up, how is this good for the community?
So many cases are settled with plea agreements because that's the way the system is set up. I looked at the numbers this morning. We get nearly 500 felony cases filed and about another 800 criminal traffic and criminal misdemeanor cases. It is filed in 2015. It would be virtually impossible for the district attorney's office to take every one of those cases to trial. Right now, as it is in Portage County, we're one of the slowest counties in our judicial district for processing criminal cases. We simply are slow at it, and quite frankly, justice delayed is justice denied. To expect that there would be a jury trial on every single case would clog the criminal courts just in an unbelievable fashion. We would need to hire many, many more prosecutors to handle all of those cases. Is it good for the community? What it does is it puts a tremendous amount of power in the hands of our prosecutors and our district attorney in particular, because they're the ones that hold the cards as to how cases get resolved, unless somebody wants to take their case to trial. We have speedy trials, so cases can get resolved, but it doesn't happen very often where cases actually, where speedy trial demands are made and cases are resolved very quickly. Accountability is important, and I know that our district attorney understands that and truly believes in the accountability as a public official. But that's where the power is the power is in our prosecutor's office, and I think that it's used wisely by our prosecutors. But is it good for the community? I'm not sure.
Thank you. And Mr. Shannon?
I think the fact that, as you say, there are so many pleas in criminal cases in this county is because of the excellence of our law enforcement. And the investigations that they perform result in a determination by the person charged, assisted by their attorney, that they have no defense. And that's one of the reasons, the primary reason, I think. The other issue is what's wrong with pleas and sentencing. getting a plea on a criminal matter presents that defendant to me to be sentenced. When someone makes a plea in my court, I accept it, and if I accept their plea, I tell them, if I accept your plea, I'm going to find you guilty, and I'm going to order that the clerk enter judgment of conviction upon the record right now. And so when someone has agreed to make a plea, I adjudicate their guilt immediately, and they are prosecuted at that point and subject to being sentenced by the court. So I see the numbers of pleas in criminal cases as evidence of success and not anything else.
We are moving on to question 3, and we will start with Judge Shannon with this question. Heroin is a serious issue in Portage County. How do you propose the justice system assist the community in addressing the issue, and then a follow-up based on new federal laws affecting heroin use? What policies would you like the community to work on in city and county government?
Boy, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. What I do know is that this is a scourge. This is a tremendous, it is a scourge of biblical proportions. The numbers of young people, not only young people, but others, whose lives are ruined by this substance is both heartbreaking and terrifying. I don't know all the reasons why this is such a huge problem, and it really doesn't make any difference, at least in my role. When I do my job is to apply the law. And if you are convicted, either convicted or make a plea into possessing or selling heroin, I apply the law and send you to prison. The reasons why you did so may be mitigating to some extent, but they don't mitigate your guilt. And when someone imports heroin into our community, they affect the lives of literally hundreds and thousands of people downstream. And I had an occasion to speak to the Attorney General about this issue several weeks ago. And I said, General, we need help in our counties. We need help right now. We need substantial help. And he said, Bob, we're going to give you that help. We're in charge. We're leading the team. And I believe him. The commitment of the state's highest judicial enforcement, law enforcement officer is indicative of the extent of this problem. And it's not just in our county, folks. It's everywhere. It's not in the big counties. It's in the small counties. It's in every county. So I wish I had the magic answer for you folks, but I don't. This is going to be a long, hard, expensive, sad fight.
I represented a woman in Wapaka County who was so addicted to prescribed painkillers, so legal painkillers, that she had had surgery on her stomach. And when it healed up, she picked the wounds off. She picked everything open so she could get more painkillers. I mean, this is the extent that people will go to. She ended up in a mental institution to try to break her addiction. It is horrible, but it starts with these prescribed painkillers. Now, I want to just take you back to methamphetamine. When meth was this scourge a few years ago, what happened is our legislators passed laws that you couldn't buy quantities of the ingredients at Target or Shopko or wherever you go. You couldn't buy the 25 bottles of cough syrup that had that one ingredient in it. And the use of meth and the production of meth really went down. Unfortunately, what happened next was the next scourge, which is heroin. This is a terrible, terrible problem, but we can address it. First of all, the Attorney General and our legislators recently did pass a law to create a registry so that several doctors don't prescribe the same painkillers again and again and again. This is a good thing, and this will help with the beginning of resolving the problem. The next thing in our county is we need to get alternative courts in. We need to get drug courts in, and that that's really critical, because we need to break these cycles with these folks that have these tremendous addictions and get them out of the criminal justice system.
Thank you. We're moving on to question number 5, and we will begin with candidate Baker. What are the benefits of the Justice Coalition and the activities they have initiated in Portage County?
Oh my goodness, I could probably talk about this for an hour. Our Justice Coalition, so that people know, is a group of all the stakeholders that are involved in the Justice Coalition, or the justice system in Portage County. It consists of social workers, it consists of county board members, it consists of our county exec, all of the members of, a number of members of law enforcement from every agency, the district attorney, my office, the judges, and so forth. The benefit is that we are able, as a group, we get together 4 times a year, we are able as a group to identify hot button issues and then go in and break out into work groups and really address those issues. So, for example, we had a question about whether we should be issuing warrants for payment for collections in this county. That's a committee or work group that I actually chaired, and we have met 4 or 5 times, oh, maybe actually more than that. And we worked out a process to determine the best way possible to do collections involving warrants and to make sure that everybody is treated very fairly. In fact, we changed a number of procedures in the court system where I feel that we were not previously in compliance with the law. And then based on suggestions and initiatives that I made, we actually changed it so that we have hearings every day at 1:15 to address people that are in custody for warrants. So that's just one example of where the Justice Coalition has, as a group, identified issues, discussed them, evaluated, analyzed the issue, and then come up with solutions. Right now there's a work group, and I'm on that as well, for the treatment courts, as well as she's pointing to the red card. It's a wonderful organization that accomplishes terrific things in our justice system.
I could not agree more. The thanks we all owe to the people that commit their professional lives to as a commitment to the system, to this system, the justice system, is astounding. Without their support and their assistance, we would be rapidly overrun by the requirements imposed on us by Madison, particularly with respect to bond revocations, incarcerations, the execution of civil commitments, as Trish has mentioned, where people are forced to sit in jail rather than pay their fines. These people, many of them, are not significant or serious offenders. The more time they spend in jail, the more likely, unfortunately, it will be that they become serious offenders. So keeping these people out of jail is one of the focuses of the Justice Coalition. They do a fantastic job, and I'd like to publicly recognize Judge Fleischauer as just one of the people who deserve our thanks.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we're coming to the end of our time, so we'll have to go ahead with our closing statements. So now is the candidate's opportunity to make a closing statement and possibly address issues that were not covered by our questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes, and we will start with candidate Channing, please.
Thank you all for coming, and thank you again to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. It's very important that both Trish and I hear what you think is important in what we do. Being a judge is a very difficult job. There is very, very little opportunity for anyone to provide feedback to a judge, and it's sometimes a lonely job. I served for 27 years, as I mentioned earlier, as an attorney in private practice here in Stevens Point. I was honored to serve when called to be your circuit court II judge to replace John Finn. After I completed the initial training at the Judicial College, I became immediately responsible for Branch 2's entire docket on day one. There is no honeymoon period for new judges. On day one, you better be ready to go. Since my day one, which was October 1, I have maintained the full docket load of Branch 2, the same docket load as our other two excellent judges have. I have presided over hundreds and hundreds of hearings, motions, pleas and sentencings, numerous court and jury trials. I have proven my ability to do this job well by actually doing it. I would appreciate your support to continue to do so. Thank you.
Likewise, I want to thank the League and all of you for sitting and listening to us and the questions and so forth. I want to just reiterate my qualifications. I was a defense attorney in private practice for a number of years, handled a variety of civil cases, handled a variety of cases where I represented people in court in their most difficult moments of life. In addition to that, I was an assistant DA for 10 years and a special prosecutor in 4 different counties, handling more cases as a special prosecutor than I could ever count. And then lastly, I've been your clerk of court for the last 4 years, which has given me truly unique insight into how the courts run and potential for improvements in our court. I like to go back to Judge Fleischauer and talk about him for a moment as being truly an innovative, progressive person that made so many changes and left his mark and his legacy on our courts in so many different ways. And I like to think that I look at things the same way that he does. So in addition to the day-to-day job of making the decisions that a judge makes, I have vision for how to lead our courts and how to lead our court system for the next, hopefully, a couple of terms. I want to just point out that, yes, there are many, many differences between Judge Shannon and myself, and I know that he's pointed out several of them. I want to just talk very, very briefly about that application to the Judicial Commission for the appointment. I had 24 letters of recommendation. I had 4 judges, 3 or 4 district attorneys, county board supervisors. I had so many people. I had twice as many as the next applicant. And I would point out that Judge Shannon had no letters of recommendation on his application whatsoever. I didn't get chosen, that's true, but I do feel that I'm the best candidate to move forward, and I offer a very, very different perspective than Judge Shannon does as far as how to lead our courts and innovations and a way to be progressive with our courts, how to improve things and have the most effective, efficient, and accessible court system possible in the state of Wisconsin. Again, thank you for coming today, and I ask for your support on April 5th.
Thank you to both of our candidates. First of all, I want to thank you very much for putting your hats in the race. It is so important that someone is willing to step up and lead in the community, and you do it in your candidacy as well as for whoever is the victor will do it as they sit in that courtroom day by day. This concludes the forum for the District 6 Circuit Court Judge. Thank you, candidates and audience, for your participation and attention. We also wish to thank John Quirk and the videographer who will tape and replay the forums on community TV. Times for these rebroadcasts are available as you leave this forum. These broadcasts are an appreciated service to the Portage County area citizens. The spring election is on Tuesday, April 5th this year. Please vote, and you can vote before if you want to go ahead and pre-vote. The places are open for you. I did so 2 days ago. Now let's show our appreciation to both candidates again. Thanks very much.
For more information, visit the League of Women Voters website, lwvspa.wi.lwvnet.org.